There we go. Welcome back. It's Betting the W, episode 7. We're thrilled to be back in person, back behind the desk. Far better to see you in person, sir.
Great to see you.
Than over the internet. Lovely holidays to you as well. Let's jump right into some college basketball because what a week it was.
Mm-hmm.
We're about halfway through the season right now.
Yes,
March
sir.
is fast approaching.
Sneaking up.
Couldn't be more excited. Let's take a little look at our preseason draft that we did in our very first episode.
Mm-hmm.
We picked the teams with the championship futures that we liked best based on value, based on what we saw looking ahead.
What we saw in the 1 week prior.
Yes. And your teams are looking hot.
Yeah, man. I think I definitely have the steadier teams.
Definitely.
You took more upside swings, I think. So we started off with, took South Carolina 1-1. Undefeated. I don't know. You can't really say much about them. They went from plus 150 to plus 130.
I can't believe it improved, but they earned it. They've looked good all year long.
Yeah.
Better than expected.
How about UConn going from plus 1,200 to plus 650?
Unreal that their odds have improved based on all the adversity that they've seen.
Yeah, and they're finally getting healthy, so hey, they could jump up.
They're set up for a late run.
Notre Dame going from plus 2,500 to plus 2,000. They're solid. It's a steady team.
Plus 2,000 feels a bit stingy. I feel like they had a loss that we'll talk about, but I mean, that's a good jump even still.
Yeah, I mean, I still think they're our favorites in the ACC, so
Definitely.
plus 2,000 could be a little low. Then I had Baylor, a couple upside swings later in the end. Baylor going plus 5,000 to plus 4,000. I think this team's hot. They can make a run here.
That's a big jump. I like the Baylor team that we're seeing right now.
Yep. And UCLA from plus 15,000 to plus 10,000. The Pac-12's top loaded, but they're one of those top 3 teams. We could see a little UCLA action.
You saw this well from the very start. This is a team that didn't have a ton of expectations, especially after last season, and top 10 team right now.
Yeah.
Very impressive draft for me, sir. Very impressed.
Thank you.
Mine was a little shakier. My teams have been up and down a little bit. Iowa was my favorite. I still like them a lot, but they did drop from plus 700 to plus 3,000. Maybe it's a good value bet. Maybe they're getting hot at the right time. I still like this Iowa team. They put up a lot of points, looking better as of late. Hopefully they're built for March. I think they are.
Yeah, and it looks like they turned a corner recently.
Yes.
So we could see in March. Who knows?
Fingers crossed for my Hawkeyes. Then we've got a team that I have far less positivity for. Louisville has the worst odds out of any team that we drafted. Sorry, second worst odds. Forgot I had another team on here. Louisville's looking real rough. We'll talk about it later on, but they've dropped heavily from plus 2,000 to plus 10,000, and I don't see them taking a sharp swing upward unless they find some of that March magic that they had last season.
Yep.
Then I had Ohio State.
There you go.
This is a pick I felt really good about from the beginning of the season. I've only felt better since. They're one of 3 undefeated teams in the nation, and their odds have improved from plus 3,000 to plus 2,000.
Plus 2,000.
Great value still.
Yeah.
If you didn't get it at plus 3,000, get it at plus 2,000 because this is a team that's like, they're built to last. They've seen some tough tests, and they're still undefeated, so plus 2,000, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that Big Ten's loaded, and they just keep winning.
They're plowing through. Then we've got another undefeated team, another sneaky surprise team, LSU. Felt good about Kim Mulkey, felt good about the transfers they had coming in. They've been one of the most exciting teams in the country. They haven't lost. They're up from plus 5,000 to plus 1,000.
And we'll talk about them later, but I love this LSU team. That's a very solid pick there, Max.
So good. Plus 1,000, still a good value. Miami, shockingly, has gone down in the odds, which was a surprise for me to see. From plus 15,000 to plus 20,000. I think this is a much better Miami team than came into the season.
Yeah.
I think they're up from what they were a couple weeks into the season. I don't know what they're seeing right now, but this is a pretty good Miami team. I don't love them to win the championship, but if you're looking for great value, you're not going to find a better team with plus 20,000 odds.
I mean, what do they know that we don't?
Right. What are they seeing?
Or they gotta be weighing it based off that start to the season.
It must be. They might not have caught up to what Miami did lately. And on that note, let's hop into the ACC.
Shambles.
In shambles. What's going on with the ACC? We say this every single week. We don't know what to expect, and honestly, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
We've talked about other conferences being really boring. The ACC is exciting because I have no idea who's going to win from night to night.
Every time the ACC is on, you got to tune in because you don't know what's going to happen.
It's so unpredictable, and it's so exciting. This week we had NC State headed in the wrong direction for sure. They were ranked as high as 6 early this season, but now they're down into the double digits and only sinking lower.
Yeah, they're looking at late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
Next ranking maybe.
I think they got a lot of favor because of last year's Final Four run. That was genuinely a very good team. They were a 1 seed. But they have 4 bad losses, and their only ranked win is against Iowa, who let them score 1 million points, obviously, because that's what Iowa does. But they've now lost 3 of their last 5, including 2 to unranked teams.
Yeah.
Last night, they lost to FSU.
I think they just lose to FSU.
They lost to FSU by a lot. I'll talk about the Wolfpack, but I would like to say something about the Noles as well.
All right. Well, I just wanted to throw out there they're just not the same offense as we saw to start the year.
Not at all.
The first 8 games they had 84.5 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
Last 9 they're averaging 70.
That's a tough drop off.
Oh,
That's a steep drop off.
it's a scary thing there. Now we could jump into the Noles real quick.
I would love to have a quick chat about FSU because
Let's hear it.
I think that this is a sneaky, really, really good team out of the ACC. They have 1 loss in each of November, December, and January, and they're good losses too. A 2-point loss to Oklahoma State, which is kind of a weird one. 8-point loss to UConn. Not a ton you can do about that. And then they lost an OT this week to BC, who's another sneaky good team out of the ACC. They're a really good team. They only have those 3 losses, and in a league like the ACC where anybody could win, I think they've been one of the most consistent teams. And I like that a lot. They're able to score a lot, and they're able to defend pretty well too. And they shut down NC State last night. I think the Noles will be ranked next week because you can't ignore the 3-loss record and dominating ACC play.
I mean, it's time for the voters to catch up. But I just want to throw it out there. If you're praising FSU for beating BC and saying FSU is great, I'm just going to play the contrarian here because I also don't like the direction this NC State team is headed. Yeah. But if we're going to praise those 2 teams and then criticize NC State for losing to them, I don't know, man.
I'm willing to play both sides. Can't possibly lose. Praise everybody and criticize everybody. Right now I'm hot on the Noles, and I had this jersey in my closet. So, FSU bandwagon this week. I'm rolling with that. Let's continue with the ACC. I mentioned a Notre Dame loss this week. They were looking somewhat unbeatable this season. Hadn't lost in ACC play. This week they go down to number 22 UNC, which I think surprised us both because they were 2 teams heading in completely different directions.
Yeah.
Like Notre Dame was coasting, UNC was sliding, and they took the L to UNC.
I mean, we all know who to blame here.
Yes,
we all know who to blame.
Hi.
You guys
Producer
can't see it. Kate behind the camera and waving.
Picked the heaviest favorite in the history of our pick segment.
Yeah, Notre Dame was -4, which I thought was generous to UNC.
Yeah.
And there we go. Kate picks them. Not only do the women lose, but the men lose the day before to UNC.
Cursed the whole damn program.
She just anti-Irish over there.
Tough look for producer Kate. Notre Dame, I don't think this is indicative of many bigger problems. I think they might have been just due.
Yeah.
But I don't think down the road Notre Dame is going to be a struggling team. I think they're still probably top dog in the ACC.
I agree.
But a weird loss, for sure. We're going to look back and be confused by that one because, well, is UNC better than we've been giving them credit for? Do you think they're going to be able to turn it around?
I think they have a real shot to right now with their upcoming schedule. They got taking on NC State, who we just said, struggling.
Rough.
And then they got the revenge game versus Duke. This Duke team really started this slide. So a couple rivalry games there.
I'm so excited for these rivalry games. This is my favorite thing about conference play is you get these good in-state historic rivalries. They're good. Women's basketball is blessed with a lot of out-of-conference rivalries, but that's really among the top teams like UConn, South Carolina, UConn, Tennessee. These are teams who are not historically dominant, who are just close to each other and don't really like each other. So I'm excited to see them sweat each other out. We've seen Duke UNC a million times on the men's side. I've said it before. I'm really excited for this women's game.
This is going to be a good game.
This is going to be the premier matchup
on
Tobacco Road.
I mean, this is exactly what you wanted last week.
Exactly.
We got to see this UNC team turn around so they could get strong heading into these rivalry week.
Rivalry weeks are so good. No matter what your sport is, develop a rival, and it'll be so much more exciting. So another my ACC team that is looking really good lately is Miami. They are looking to be ranked. They had a good week last week, an even better week this week. They're on a tear. They're as hot as could be.
Miami,
it's hot down there on the beach. A whole cast of characters down there helping out, and it's a very well distributed offense. And they're looking real good. In my opinion, I think every sport is just better when Miami is good. Cool uniforms, fun school, good city, great vibes. I think Miami has incredible vibes right now. We talk about a lot of good vibes teams. We like to bring up the good vibes. Miami, definitely good vibes. And like I said earlier on, I don't love having a championship future on them, but I wanted to pick a long shot, and among the long shots, they're the most fun and maybe the best team with the odds that long.
And you're putting them at plus 20,000 right now, which is crazy.
That's insane. Who's to say they can't make a run?
Yeah.
I like them a lot. I think they will make a run, at least in the regular season. Their only remaining games against teams that are currently ranked are NC State, which we talked about, not looking all that tough of a matchup, and Duke, who's a very good team. But they could end up with a high seed in the conference if they can finish out winning the games that they should.
Yeah, I might be wild for saying this, but I'm kind of I'm looking at the standings right now. I'm kind of liking this unranked Miami team as the third best team in the ACC.
Really? That's bold. I like that, though.
I mean, I'm looking at this, and Virginia Tech, we both not too big of fans. NC State sliding, UNC, maybe they could turn it around.
Who knows?
But I like them in that 4 spot. I'm looking at Notre Dame, Duke, and Miami.
That's a good big three.
I might be weighing the vibes too heavy, but Duke and Miami are
you gotta trust the
splendid vibes.
I think it's those three. Maybe this one. I trust the Florida State a little bit too. But I think there's a good top 4 in the ACC. We talk about Notre Dame being the dominant favorite, but...
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the conference standings, 3 of the ranked teams, nowhere near the top 5.
Right, they're scattered all over the board, which is weird to see your ranked teams so low. Not even in the middle, near the bottom.
Yeah, so we could see a huge shakeup here.
Definitely. Interesting to look at. One more big ACC game this week. We had Louisville and Virginia Tech. Louisville looked really good early, but Virginia Tech, I think, they're built better than Louisville.
Yeah.
It was a foot race, and Virginia Tech won 81-79. Not a ton to say about it.
I mean, it's hard to find women's basketball that you can actually watch without having to pay more.
Exactly.
I was able to tune into this game, and that was a battle, man.
It was tough, and it was good. Louisville fought hard. They covered plus 4.5. Shout out.
Hey.
Haley Van Lith had 29, but...
That's all that really matters. Plus 4.5.
Yeah, that's what matters. and it's significant to some. I think they're just like a really like mid team. Like
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna be really good. They're not bad by any stretch, but they lose to the really good teams. They beat the bad teams.
Just doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, they win the games they're supposed to win.
Yeah.
I think they could maybe sneak into the tournament as like a 10 seed, upsetting a 7 seed, but
Yeah.
I don't think they have a ton of potential to make a run.
I mean, when you get to the big time moments, it's the big time players you want, and they got one.
Experience
Yeah,
counts.
Louisville.
Like a lot of that roster has been to a Final Four just last year, and they're
Yeah.
led by HVL. So we'll see about Louisville. I mean, I'm still liking them and following them. So the one team we didn't talk about that we probably should is Duke.
Duke.
Holy cow, Duke is so good right now.
They are rolling.
That defense is just like unreal.
They're five fingers to the same glove.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah, that was sure. It sounded good.
Yeah.
So Duke has lost one game. It was also the only game that they allowed more than 60 points all season long. Do you know who it was against?
Who was it against?
UConn.
That's a
That's one of the best losses you can have in the entire
Yeah.
country. Duke, outside of UConn, has not lost and has not allowed 60 points. That's unreal. That's a crazy run for a team that we did not see coming.
No.
I mean, neither of us had them in a championship draft. I think we would have liked to have known. But the
They
Duke
were
Blue
gonna
Devils
run
were going
like
to do
this.
something like this.
Oh my God. And they have incredible vibes.
Great vibes.
After Malin's loss, it's like the Toy Story meme with Andy dropping the thing.
Yeah, I don't want to play with you anymore. Bad vibes.
I'm Team Duke all the way, baby.
Duke has different vibes from the other. I think the other teams have kind of like showy, flashy vibes, like high scoring and
Yeah.
nice to watch. Duke is kind of gritty. Like they're gonna grind out a win. It's gonna end up being like they had a 10-point win against Clemson last night, but they just
It's a win nonetheless.
66-56. Like
Oh.
they're not gonna let you score, and they're gonna take their time
Yeah.
on offense.
I listened to this Sixers podcast, and they talk a lot about the Heat, and they call
Yeah.
it the Heat and the Raptors, how they play, they call it rat mode.
Rat mode.
I think Duke has a little bit of rat mode
They
in
got a little rat in them for sure. This is a rat team, but
We talk about dogs a lot. They got that,
they got that rat in them. Like a real New Yorker, they got the rat. They got a little bit of rat in them. But they're cooking. Ratatouille. Obviously, was where I was going with that.
Alright, let's move.
One more thing. Duke unders. I'm loving it. I'm
All
going
the
to keep
way.
betting them until I can't. One thing I'll say, we'll talk about a few of these games. Actually, we'll get to it. But Duke under hit by half a point last night. Thrilling.
Yeah,
They're not
so
gonna
they
allow
put a lineup
points.
that's like 100, 110.
Right,
It's
right.
like you hit that under.
Until they put it like under 110, hit that under button because defense is way too good. We talked FSU, Miami are on the move. In the long term, the most trustworthy team is probably going to be Duke or Notre Dame. That would be a really fun matchup to see eventually.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's turn to another conference, which is a little less exciting, a little less competitive, but it has some unbeaten teams. And we talked unbeatens last week. Basically, as soon as we ended the Zoom call, Utah went and lost. After we gave them all that respect, they're undefeated. I keep forgetting they're undefeated. That's right, they're so good. They went and lost to Colorado last Friday night.
Let me just tell you, betting the W, never wrong.
Never.
We're just not right yet.
Yet.
Someone had the Utes fall into the Buffs a couple weeks ago. Just the wrong game.
Crystal ball gets a little cloudy sometimes. We don't always know exactly what it's saying.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming eventually.
We knew it was Colorado. If I had some, I'd be breaking out the Buffs, beating Utah. And it happened like right after we
It
turned
was
on the
literally
cup.
as soon as we were giving Utah all this praise. Hilarious timing. Never wrong, just not right yet. The still undefeated teams, South Carolina and LSU,
Yeah.
are the two undefeated teams within the SEC. South Carolina haven't done anything too exciting, haven't done anything that they weren't expected to do. Since that Stanford matchup, they haven't really been tested.
Yeah.
Although they did blow the last 2 covers after I was talking about how they always cover these huge spreads. They did not cover against Mississippi State or Kentucky last night.
I mean, Mississippi State, I texted you guys, I said, what was it, -20? Or Mississippi State was +21.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about all that.
It's interesting that you're so tempted by it because all they have to do is not lose by 22, and so often they do. But Mississippi State covered, and last night Kentucky had the slimmest of margins. I was at home for break, and my brother and I got dinner in New Hampshire, so I sent off a few bets before we came home. Let me just read off my bets that I had. Honestly, I had some bad beats, but I had some good wins too. I had South Carolina -29.5. They end up winning by 29.
And I just want to, while you're pulling that up, South Carolina, that game looked close.
It was close the whole way.
I was ready to write down on a little script. South Carolina keeps letting teams hang in it.
They do. They kind of play with their food a little bit, which is not what we're used to seeing from them.
And then next thing you know, it's a 29-point game.
Right. Yeah, they have the ability to go on these crazy runs, so I guess they can play with their food, but I don't know, against like a UConn or like an OSU, we'll see. Other bets that I placed last night, under 122.5 in Duke Clemson, hit by a half a point. So I lose SC by half a point. I win Duke under by a half a point. I had over 135.5 in LSU Mizzou. Totals 134. No good. And then I had Louisville covering +4.5. They lose by 2. So I was like 3 points away from being 0-4, but 4 points away from being 4-0. And I ended up 2-2. All right, I'll take it.
Can't put in there.
It's not 0-4. I'll take it that much. I always rag on Vegas because I don't think they watch women's sports. I think they just kind of look at the box scores, but they nailed those lines.
Yeah.
They had them almost exactly right. So, shout out Vegas. But, yeah, South Carolina unbeaten. Anything on them?
It's hard to come up with things to say about South Carolina.
Right.
Everything is already known. Lately, they've shown a bit of a willingness to stretch the floor, which sadly, very sadly, in my eyes, puts them on pace to beat Caitlin Clark in threes, minus Zia Cook, which is right now they have like a 25 3-point attempted margin.
That's going to be tough for Caitlin.
It's going to be tough for Caitlin to overcome that. We need her to come out and just start jacking threes, because that's the race I'm watching.
It would have been so funny. It's still on the table. Maybe they'll just go back to straight post play. Caitlin's going to keep jacking up those threes. We know that.
Yeah, I mean, Zia Cook she's really good, and she could carry them in that race.
It'll be interesting to see for sure. Now, the other unbeaten team in the SEC is LSU. And this is like, for me, this is like night and day. This is like, South Carolina is boring. They win in boring ways, and they like just beat you to death slowly. But LSU is going to score so many points. They're so fun to watch. They have a bunch of players that could go off on any given night. Last night it was Alexis Morris led the scoring. Angel Reese still had a double-double, obviously. But Alexis Morris put up 24, and she was 5 of 5 from 3, 7 of 9 from the floor.
Ugh.
Just insane efficiency, and she's like maybe the second or third option on it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
If you look at that, they have a real three-headed monster with Angel Reese, Alexis Morris, and Flo J, baby.
Flo J.
Best
rapper in college basketball.
But I know you guys don't really care much for the advanced metrics, but those three are all top 35 in win shares. So
that's crazy. That's crazy. They have 3 of the top 35.
3 of the top 35.
Nuts.
They're the only team with 3 in the top 35.
That's wow. That's crazy.
It's crazy. And then by almost every advanced metric, Angel Reese is the most valuable player in college basketball right now.
She's so good. We'll get to maybe our picks for the most valuable player in the country, but Angel Reese has to be in your top 3. I don't care like what you think. Like boards and points. It's all she does. She's just constant.
I mean, that's all you need to take over a game.
Exactly. And she wins these games for them. LSU unbeaten, SC unbeaten. I'm really looking forward to that matchup.
Yeah.
Everyone's
got circled.
I'm really not trying to be a South Carolina hater. I know I notably let you pick them in our championship draft. I love them, but I roll with the fun teams. I would love to see LSU with that upset, an up and coming program, come into Columbia and score 1 million points. And
yeah, I mean, last week you heard me. They're my pick. My pick to go unbeaten this year, and that means they're going to take down South Carolina, I think.
Circle that on your calendar. It's going to be possibly game of the year. So let's keep it rolling from the SEC to the Big East. This is a similar one. We've talked about this. A lot of chaos.
Oh, my God.
We know the team we like at the top, but after that, it's who knows? Who knows?
I sure as hell don't.
We were talking about, potential most valuable player in the country. 2 really under-the-radar players faced off just last night. Maddie Siegrist, Villanova, and Anisha Morrow of DePaul. They played in Chicago last night. They had a good battle. Maddie Siegrist is a great scorer, and she's crazy efficient, too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the split, and, it's pretty clear why, Maddie Siegrist and the Wildcats won this matchup. Morrow had 28, but on 12 of 34 shooting. Siegrist had 32 on 13 of 24, and 6 for 6 from the free throw line. So a lot more efficient. Anisha Morrow is going to score in high volume, but she's going to take a lot of shots, and Nova spreads it out a little bit more. They don't lean on Maddie Siegrist, but she's a crazy good scorer.
Yeah, and looking at the Big East, that Nova team just snuck into the rankings at 25.
Right on the edge.
Right there. So, I mean, we don't know what's going on beyond UConn.
Right.
But Maddie Siegrist has Nova right there at number 2 right now.
They're a really good team, and I put things in my mind in terms of football a lot.
Uh-huh.
We had the college football playoff earlier this month, and we knew that Georgia was going to win it.
Yeah.
They had a scare against Ohio State, but we knew once they got to the championship, they've been there before, they're going to win it. We know with some certainty that UConn is going to win the Big East. But that game between TCU and Michigan, to earn the right to lose to Georgia, was crazy exciting. So I think the second place game, as it were, in the Big East tournament is going to be a crazy matchup between probably Nova, maybe
Seton Hall, St. John's.
We could talk about Seton Hall.
Let's see it.
You win some, you lose some. I think my theory is that they should have kept Creighton in the ranking because Seton Hall's an upset-minded team, and without that number 25 next to Creighton, they overlooked them.
They need a little push,
and they lost by 20.
That Creighton pack.
It smoked me back.
Oh,
I was on pack watch this week against Creighton. TF.
And I was really ready to just come on here and parade them. and they go out and lose to Creighton. So it's that second place in the Big East that we're looking at.
It's a battle.
Yeah, any of these Nova, Seton Hall, St. John's, Creighton, and DePaul,
maybe any of these teams.
They all feel real similar right now.
It's going to be an interesting fight to see who gets to lose to UConn. Talked about UConn. They're not healthy, but healthier this week. They had to cancel a game this week, which is something that you don't see very often.
But they just canceled it. But then you look at ASU, also.
Yeah.
Down healthy players, forfeited.
I don't know about that. that's
if you're ranked, you get some.
That's the kind of swing you get when you've been to 16 straight Final Fours, I guess. But yeah, Izzy Fudd came back this week.
Yep.
Looked good. Aaliyah Edwards. It's so confusing that 2 of the best players in college basketball have the same name. That's so frustrating. Aaliyah Edwards came back. She wasn't ever really out but she was questionable and
She
came back and looked good.
Out so they could cancel that game.
Okay, yes,
That's
exactly.
my conspiracy. She was fine.
Let's give the girls a few more days.
Yeah.
And Gino came back. Always good to have him on the sideline, although they don't lose under interim coaches.
Oh,
so
no.
It's just a good team. They're going to win no matter who's there. But you want everybody there, and UConn look good this week.
Yeah. I mean, now that we mention it, are they dodging DePaul?
Low key, they might be afraid of the Blue Demons.
Hey, you never know. Anyway, back to UConn.
I'll be bubble ring if they don't play DePaul on their way to the Big East Championship.
Mickey Mouse ring. Now the only thing for UConn has to do is stay healthy.
Yeah. Stay
If
away from
we-
the injuries.
If we don't get the UConn South Carolina matchup,
Oh my.
that
Could you
week one,
imagine? It's already sold out.
like
They
that,
already sold out the XL Center for a game that's like a month from now.
it'd just be so disappointing.
That would be terrible.
It'd also be hilarious if UConn shorthanded Hospital Huskies go in and wipe the floor of South Carolina.
That would be crazy.
Anyway.
This show would explode. So let's move out west for a second. We talked a little Pac-12. Utah was toppled. I think we all saw it coming eventually.
Yeah. I mean, they were both of our picks to be the next unbeaten team to fall.
Yes. It
Just
I
happened.
thought it was going to take a little longer, but, you know, I think we say it every week. Stanford's a lot better than any of the other teams in the Pac-12. They gave South Carolina a run for their money, which is more than any other team in the country. That's the best loss.
If we're talking Pac-12, UCLA did too, kind of.
Oh, they did. That's right.
That was
They
a
covered.
good game. Yeah.
They covered. We called it.
Yeah.
Speaking of UCLA, they're in LA tonight. Stanford and UCLA. It's a top 10 matchup.
Big game.
Technically, I'm kind of suspicious. I think it's just going to be another Stanford blowout. But
I agree.
if that UCLA crowd shows out, you know, that's a big gym to pack, and who knows, they might rattle Stanford a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so obvious Stanford's a step above all these other teams.
They're so good. Like,
But I'd be really interested to see what happens if UCLA could pull this out. What the rankings would look like
that
next
would
week.
be crazy.
Like
You have to make
OSU has
UCLA top 5.
to. Yeah, and OSU has to move up to 2, which
Honestly,
we've been talking about.
finally.
But I mean, I like that LSU team. I could see them in 2-3 range.
If
That South Carolina, Stanford, the rest. So if one of those top 2 fall, I mean, the voters won't know what to do.
you're right, they're gonna be
They're gonna
all over. They've just been putting South Carolina, Stanford automatically.
Yeah, you can
for
just
weeks
write them
now.
in.
If South Carolina LSU was a 1 versus 2 in Columbia in the regular season,
Oh my god.
oof.
That deep into the season too.
Oh my god, dude. The pop for that would be insane.
That's road trip material.
Yes. Columbia. We're coming to your city. Enough on the Pac-12. Big Ten, I think we can agree is the best conference in the country.
I think pretty easily too.
They've got a little chaos to them, but it's because everybody's really good. I think top to bottom, almost everybody's good. I had a good week.
Yeah, you did.
OSU survived. Your Illinois team, they almost ruined my week 2 weeks in a row. But
oh my god.
OSU showed the ability. They showed a little alligator blood that they can survive a scare from an unranked opponent. OSU needed that.
Yeah.
I think they haven't been really too challenged so
Yeah.
far this year, so they needed a team to come in and wake them up a little bit. They were down by like 16,
Down by
17
17.
points.
Let me tell you this story. I'm driving back from Philly.
Yep.
This game is on. I have vested interest in this game. They were my pick. Illinois over Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm driving, so I'm not really checking it. I'll check the score every once in a while. I check it halfway through the third. They're up 17. So imagine my shock. My sheer shock when I check it at the end of the third and they are tied. They blew a 17-point lead in half a quarter.
You had to put your cigar out.
I
Unpop your champagne.
am so lucky I was driving. Otherwise, I would have freezing cold take myself into oblivion. I had to restrain myself from texting you guys. Oh my god.
You're lucky you couldn't Twitter figure yourself.
I know.
Blessing in disguise. That was a tough one. That was a tough beat for Illinois, who is still a good team, but I think OSU proved that they're legit. They're the real deal. They might just stay undefeated.
They very well could.
They might.
That Big Ten's heavy. I think I would say that OSU being undefeated is probably more impressive than any other undefeated team right now.
I would say so because they have a better strength of schedule than LSU.
Yeah.
Which we've said, like, you can't knock them for it, but OSU's
It is
played
what
better.
it is.
OSU's played better teams, and they had lower expectations than South Carolina. Like, everyone expected South Carolina to go undefeated. So for OSU to be here, it's a surprise, and it's also like really impressive based on who they've played.
OSU was plus 3,000 to start the year.
Right. Nobody saw this coming.
Undefeated now.
This has been a wild run from the Buckeyes. I've enjoyed every moment of it. If we're talking about the team that I think could beat Ohio State, let's talk about my Iowa Hawkeyes. Because they're getting hot at the right time. Last week, lost to Illinois. That was really tough to see. But I knew that this bounce back was coming. My official pick, was Iowa over Michigan. They took care of business against Michigan. They looked good. And then last night, 2 nights ago, they trounced Northwestern. They gave them business. I think Northwestern's having a rough season, but Iowa scored a lot of points. They actually played decent defense. They probably allowed too many points, but Caitlin Clark had a near triple-double. She had 20, 14, and 9, which is like good distribution. She didn't need to go for 30. She got her 20 and then just started dishing out assists. She only had like 10 assists with like 3 minutes to play, and then she just started dropping them. I was watching the stream just hoping she'd get another board so that I could parade with my Caitlin Clark triple-double. 2014 and 19 is fine.
If you're a teammate there, you gotta just box out and let her go to work.
Well, it's like
what are we doing?
Was it Ricky Williams for the Cavs who like in '99 like was 1 rebound shy of a triple double? Like laid up on his own basket and got the rebound, and they were like, that doesn't count. You can't do that.
Just go up, Caitlin. Next time, just go brick a layup.
Yeah, like miss your own shot, grab your own board. Like,
stop being so generous. Who cares?
Stop being so generous with these assists, dude. But crazy stat line from Caitlin Clark. She is still my pick for Player of the Year. Because, like, nobody else is doing everything on the court the way she is. Angel Reese has been so good. Like, 20 games. Like, that's so impressive. But Caitlin Clark, we talked about Bree Beal earlier this season. Had a near 5 for 5 for South Carolina. I think if anyone in the country is going to do it, it's going to be Caitlin Clark. Because she's just all over the place. She's the best offensive player and the best defensive player for Iowa. And she's tasked with everything on the court, but she does it so well.
Yeah. The only knock I give her, it's not even her fault, is if you're a perimeter player, it's hard to get those 5 blocks.
Yes.
But if anyone could do it, she could do it.
Right, yeah. She might just get down there in the post and start blocking shots herself. Another Big Ten game last night. Indiana with a big win over Maryland.
The vibes are dead.
Vibes are dead. The Terrapins are dead. Just an empty shell now. I think this was like a self-correction. Yeah. I think Indiana was sliding a little bit, didn't really look like themselves. Maryland was definitely playing above their heads for a while now. I think this was coming. I think I saw this coming from a while. But Maryland held tight. Like they didn't play a bad game.
Covered 10 plus 10.5
easily.
It is what it is. These are both good teams. Maryland's proven they could win these big games. They just didn't this time. Indiana might be the better team.
Indiana is such a funny team to me
because
they're all very short. They don't have anyone significantly tall. They're just like short, and they hit a lot of threes, and they play good defense, and they all wear really high jersey numbers. So like some of them you wouldn't notice, like a normal person wouldn't notice it, but I'm just like, they got like 33, 35, 43 out there, and they're all like 3-point shoot. It's a funny thing to look at, and they're an interesting team, but man, they're good.
Yeah.
They're really good in Bloomington. Like, that home court advantage is crazy.
They're just a bunch of hoopers. I mean, it's a good squad. Not much you can say there.
Those are notables from the Big Ten. Outside of the games that we talked about, you seem to have a lot of faith in the UTs.
I tweeted it out. It's a good week to be a orange UT team that disappointed to start the year. How about that for an ESPN stat? But
teams that abbreviate to UT and wear orange are undefeated this week.
I don't know if they're undefeated even, but they're looking better. We're talking about Texas and Tennessee, of course.
Oh yeah, we never said their names.
Just for those of you who don't know the colors, any of our colorblind listeners. But they're looking better than they were to start the year, and neither of them got any AP votes this week. I won't make you talk about Tennessee because I know that's against your personal morals, and I'm not gonna let you break your New Year's resolution like that. But they've won 8 of their last 10, and their losses are against Stanford and Virginia Tech. So we talk a lot about quality losses. That Stanford loss is about as quality as it can get. Virginia Tech, it's iffy, at least for us, but they're also ranked. Her Hoop Stats has a rating that takes into account the quality of their opponents, and they're 10th in it. Of all the teams in women's college basketball, they're ranked 10th on that. So they might just be unlucky. I'm not gonna make you talk.
It stinks to high heaven for me.
Yeah.
I don't trust.
So we could jump to Texas, but I'm just saying, keep an eye out for Tennessee.
I'll keep half an eye out.
Texas, on the other hand, has won 9 of their last 10 and is 13th in overall net rating, which I don't know if you can disagree with that.
I disagree with it. I disagree with it.
No?
I just don't really trust these teams. From what I've seen so far this season, I think that I'm going to need to see more from both of them. I'm not against believing in them. I'm just
both of them had some bad injury luck to start the year. They're healthier now. I'm just throwing it out there.
Like, it's good for them. Good for them. Good to see them on the come up. We'll talk. Tennessee and Texas, we'll talk. Show me something else. Did you know, I forgot during ACC talk, Virginia Tech's leading scorer is from West Lebanon, New Hampshire.
Hey.
Which is like basically my hometown.
Pretty much.
My home area. Shout out.
Virginia adjacent legend.
Yeah. Shout out Taylor.
Vermont.
Virginia.
Vermont.
Shout out Taylor Soul. KUA legend. And we want to talk. The Ivy League. There's no good transition. Ivy League plays some good basketball, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit last week.
Yeah, and we joked about it on Twitter.
We did. We were playing with it, but honestly, Columbia-Princeton is going to be a big game.
Yeah.
Princeton looked really good early, but Columbia is surging.
Yeah, and I was listening to Locked On Women's Basketball, and they had Isabel Rodriguez and Jen Hartfield on, who both know ball in the Ivy League.
Yeah, experts.
And they opened my eyes. Some hoopers in the Ivy League, Penn, Columbia, Harvard, and Princeton, all look like they could be tournament teams, low key.
I think the Ivy League tournament is going to go crazy because we have all these teams that are super competitive. The Final Four is going to be all like really good teams.
Yeah.
It's as far as mid majors go, people never really think about the Ivy in terms of being like.
Yeah. Then you look at it and it's like Gonzaga and then a couple of Ivies, low key.
It's interesting. I will say that. By proximity to my home, I'm a Dartmouth fan because I'm from the Upper Valley of Vermont / New Hampshire. So imagine my disappointment that they are literally the worst team in the whole Ivy League, and they've only won 2 games this entire season. Dartmouth, come on. What are we doing? Step it up, guys. This is a really competitive league. Show your worth. That Pitt is also winless in ACC play, so.
Yikes.
That's okay. That's okay.
I mean, my Penn team's looking a little bit better than that in Ivy League play.
All the Philly teams are looking great. Congratulations. Vermont, UVM's looking good. They won a game for 47-36 the other night against Lowell. Like
a real offensive battle
just
there.
Gross, guys. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. They're like a mini Duke.
A win's a win.
That way. Let's bring in Kate for our walk-off segment.
Let's see it. Kate.
I don't want to do this.
Hi. You're both for coming in even. You're lucky we're in person.
I know.
Kate tried to schedule this very early in the morning, probably assuming that we would not show up and would be sleeping at this time.
Could have missed us.
I don't wish you did.
So, Kate.
Max.
Where to start?
I said that a loss last week would count as 2 losses.
Oh.
We're not going to do that to you.
Thank you.
But Notre Dame was one of the easy, like a layup of a pick. And that layup, you bricked. But we're not worried about the past.
Thank you.
We're worried about the future.
Yeah.
Who is winning this week?
Okay, so I got a lot of talk last week for picking a high favorite. So I'm picking Oklahoma State in the TCU game, both unranked, and I'm picking the Cowgirls because that's just, I was doing a lot of research on them, and their vibes are immaculate.
Oh,
And if
okay.
Now you're looking at the advanced stats.
If I've learned anything, it's that the vibes matter the most.
Did we hear Cowgirls got that dog in them?
We did. We did hear that. No
Does
rat.
TCU have that rat?
I don't know, horned frogs, man.
All right, I like to pick.
Thank
I will be rooting hard for Oklahoma State. I want you to have a bounce back this week.
I hear
Yeah.
it.
Go Pokes.
I'm Team K here, actually.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
We're a family
It's
here.
so much better in person.
The ridiculing is so much more real. Damon, what is your pick this week, sir?
Illinois. Guys, you let me down last week.
Come
But
on.
I'll look at them in that Indiana game.
You were addicted.
I can't.
You're
I can't.
addicted to the
You
Illini.
guys gotta stop me. Okay. I like them. I like the Buffs going into Arizona.
Mhm.
Or, I don't know if they're going in. I know they're playing Arizona. But I don't know if they're going to be outright winners. Either one of those. We might be looking at spreads in those games. Max, you're going to hate this. I'm taking Texas over Iowa State.
Gross.
Longhorns are back, baby. They're gonna. This is their statement win to put them on the AP radar.
Worst part is I don't even hate the pick.
Ooh.
Horns down, but yeah, different directions. Not a huge Iowa State believer. Texas looks good. Prove it to me, Texas. I'm willing to
Hey,
believe.
this is it. This
I'm
is the
willing
week.
to believe. I'm a co-sign on the Colorado over Arizona hype train. Arizona, I don't really trust. I don't like. They're winning games. They're winning games. They're looking good, but I don't know. Ever since that Kansas game that they got blown out, what's going on here? What's going on in Tucson? So, but that's not my official pick either, because I
With the
like
spreads.
the direction that the Tar Heels are moving in.
Oh yeah.
Talk about good vibes. I think they had really bad vibes a week ago, but now the vibes are really picking up. I talked about great uniforms. The ACC's loaded with great uniforms. Can't bet against the baby blue. UNC plays NC State this week in Chapel Hill. Big rivalry game. I talked about rivalries. I want to see this one get heated. And I like the Tar Heels to technically an upset. We'll see next week, but Tar Heels to upset the Wolfpack this week in the battle for North Carolina.
Great pick.
I was looking.
Great pick.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. Those are the picks. I'm gonna send you into the weekend. Go make some money betting on women's sports, and we'll see you next week. See ya.